Hey guys, how's it going? Pete Mercer here. So do you ever find when you're doing stiff-legged deadlifts or Romanian deadlifts that you really don't feel that stretch in your hamstrings? I know it's happened to me and I'm sure it's happened to a lot of you too. So here are a few reasons as to why that might be happening and how you can rectify it. So starting with the stiff-legged deadlift, basically you start off flat, your legs are stiff, you pivot back, and the idea is to put tension on the back of your legs and use your hamstrings to pull the weight back up. So you'll notice that if you're actually stretching your hamstrings by doing something like toe touches, that to actually get a good stretch in your hamstrings you might have to put your fingers lower than just touching the ground. And this will apply to the lift as well, because by the time the weights actually hit the ground you may not have stretched your hamstrings enough to get an efficient lift. So the only way to rectify that is to stand on a box or a razor of some sort, and then that can increase the range of motion that you can move to actually get a good stretch in your legs. But a lot of people don't want to do this because it puts more tension on the lower back and it potentially opens you up for injury. So the only alternative to doing that is to do a Romanian deadlift, which is essentially the same movement, only you keep, instead of having your legs stiff, you put them at a slight angle, and then this movement stays exactly the same. But the problem most people have is they approach a Romanian deadlift in the same way as a stiff-legged deadlift, and they basically just use the back and it goes straight and the weights end up here in line with the shoulder. And the problem with that is that does not stretch your hamstrings as much as even a stiff-legged deadlift would. What you need to do is lead with your butt and move backwards. So you want to keep the bar as close to your legs as possible, and as soon as you start to bend your back forward, then you need to move your butt backwards and try and go as far back as you can until the weights hit the ground or until you feel a good stretch in your hamstrings. So what this does is it simulates being on an incline with the bend and moving backwards instead of just keeping straight, because you're doing two kind of movements that will put tension on your hamstrings, and together that basically causes a greater stretch. So that's what I would recommend doing. I personally much prefer Romanian deadlifts to stiff-legged deadlifts. I find I get a better stretch out of it, and I'd rather not use boxes and razors and things like that. But that's something to think about really, and it's mainly to do with leading with the butt is how you're going to get a good stretch in your hamstrings, not by using your back. So a few things to think about. That's it from me. Thanks for watching. I'm Pete Mercer. Take it easy.